This is a video about Chapter 7, Section 4. We're looking at objective number 4, which is to solve an applied problem with a given quadratic equation. I will be working example number 5, which you can find on page 407. We're given a problem where it says the Little League baseball player throws a ball upward. The height of the ball, h, after t seconds, is given by the equation h equals negative 16t squared plus 30t plus 4. It's like the function, that's the recipe for what's going on. Their first question they're asking us is, what is the initial height of the ball? And one thing I want to look at here is the idea of some vocabulary words. What is the initial height? Well, what does that mean, initial height? Well, what that really means is that what's the height when you start? So when you first start something, the time is 0, okay? And if I want to find out what the height is, right, this is what I'm worried about. I have to use 0 everywhere there's a t for time. So here let's rewrite it. H equals negative 16 times 0 squared plus 30 times 0 plus 4. Well, all these zeros will cancel out, and that means when we start, the height is 4. And here you want to test for reasonableness how high the ball started at 4 feet. Well, if I look back in my question, it's a Little League baseball player, so it's a kid. So he's about 4 feet tall. Okay. If a giant were playing, the ball would start from, let's say, 12 feet. If you were launching it from the ground, it would start at 0 feet. So that's really important. And frankly, if you come back and you look at the original equation, look right there. There's that 4. Before I even start, I can tell that the trajectory, the flight of the ball, is starting at 4 feet. So here I would like you to stop and copy. Let's look at the next one. In this part of the problem, it's the same original statement, about the Little League player. And now they're asking, how long does it take for the ball to reach a height of 18 feet? Well, again, I'm going to come back and I'm going to analyze my problem. And when they ask me, how long does it take? That's a when part. So they're asking me to find this information. They told me that height equals 18. Okay? So in this particular case, you are working on an equation that looks like this. 18 equals negative 16t squared plus 30t plus 4. So you're going to use this and solve for t. So let's come down here and actually do that. So 18 equals negative 16t squared plus 30t plus 4. So, ooh, look, it's going to be a quadratic, but for it to be a quadratic, it has to equal 0, right? So I'm going to have to take care of this problem here. So I'm going to subtract 18 from both sides. And now I have 0 equals negative 16t squared plus 30 plus 4. Now, I would like to deal with this, but I would like to get rid of that negative. And it looks like I can get rid of some 2's here. So let's factor out negative 2. And that'll leave me with positive 8t squared plus 15, oops, I forgot my t, 15t plus, no one stopped me. This should be negative 14. Sorry. So it'll be positive 14 now because 18, the difference between 18 and 4 is 14. I'm going to come and erase a little bit of that because I just want it to be tidy. There. So I factored the 2 out and I ended up with, now I got all snagged up in that right there. Sorry, you're all so patient. So that will be plus 7 equals 0. And this, I'm going to show you something really cool. I can get rid of this because I can divide this side by negative 2 and I can divide this side by negative 2. That stays 0, right? And that just turns into 1. So I just have to deal with this now. And again, this is going to come back. Some of you may be really great at figuring out the factors intuitively, but I have to do the work. So first I'm going to multiply 8 times 7. That's negative 7. I'm not doing very well today. It's a new program. I'm going to blame it on that. 8 times 7, negative, would be negative 56. I have to find factors of negative 56 that add up to 15. I'm going to pause for a minute. So here we have our equation, and that should be squared right there. Now I have a quadratic almost, but for it to be a true quadratic, the whole thing has to equal 0. So I have to get rid of this. So I'm going to subtract 18 from both sides. And now I have 0 equals negative 16t to the second plus 30t minus 14. Now I'm not done yet. I can do some factoring to make this a little easier to deal with. I have everything has a 2 in it, so I can factor out negative 2 because I don't like that there either. And I'm going to end up with 8t squared minus 15t plus 7. And I can do something really cool right here. I can divide this by negative 2 and this by negative 2. And that'll stay 0. And that cancels out. Okay? Now, here again, we're going to do some, you might do it intuitively, but I need to do it the long way. So 8 times positive 7 is positive 56, right? And I have to find factors of 56 that add up to this. Now because this is positive, I know that my factors will either be both negative or both positive. Okay? So the factors of 56, I could do 1, I could do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but I know that 7 times 8 is 56, and I know that 7 plus 8 is 15. They're both going to be negative. So now I have a leading coefficient, so I'm going to factor by grouping. Here we go. Here's some 8s. So I can pull out 8t here and leave behind t minus 1. And here I can pull out a 7. It's a negative 7, so negative 7 times t. Pulling a negative out of a positive leaves a negative. combine these now, so I have 8t minus 7 times t minus 1. And I'm going to look for my zeros. 8, sorry, t equals 7 over 8. It's the opposite of that. Or t equals 1. So what this tells me is that if we go back and look at our original question, they want to know when it's this high. Remember, the ball goes up and the ball goes down. So it's 18 feet high here and it's 18 feet high here. That's why we have two answers. We have two answers that work. With the other problem we looked at with the garden, we couldn't have a negative measurement, a negative dimension. But here we have 2 times. So after, we'll go back to here, after 7/8 of a second and after 1 second, height equals 18. Okay? Like I said, it happens twice. The ball goes up, the ball goes down. So here I would like you to stop and copy. And then I want you to go on and work on, let's change color. I want you to go back and work on the you try number 5 on page 408.